What was the starting line? How did this all begin? Our whole goal is to be a hub for marriages all across the world, right? We know that the world is struggling, and so what we want to do is we want to become something that can give content, that can be tools, and can be a hub where whatever you need, you can come to it. This particular documentary, though, is going to be content where we are giving something, even if we're long gone off the scene. It's a tool to help people to keep running, even when they want to give up. What was the starting line? How did this all begin between y'all two? Where did it happen? How did it happen?
I guess I could go after it. It was we've been together since I was in the 9th grade. She was in the 8th grade. In my 9th grade year, I met my best friend, now cousin. We were in about all of our classes, I think 90% of our classes together, so we decided to be friends. And so one day I called him, and we never forget, it was WWF at the time. I called him about wrestling, and she was over to visit because they always would come over his house to watch wrestling. And she answered the phone, and I said, "Who was that?" You know, he said, "Oh, that's my cousin, and she's your type too."
I was about to say, don't say that.
he said, "She's your type too," because he knew my type, you know, just from, you know, me and him talking. And so I said, "Hey man, well, put her back on the phone," you know. And so he put her back on the phone. We started talking as friends first, you know, and then it just grew matured into a relationship. And then we had a little breakup, you know, during high school, and then that's when we really, really got serious, you know.
I think that's about it. I think we wanted to be married so bad, right? We got married on our lunch break. And like he said, it's so funny. I think we have a child out here somewhere because everyone thought that I was pregnant because why would people get married so young? But I think we wanted to do it God's way and do what God called us to do. So that's why we did that.
Never had an official wedding, no ceremony. My mom was the only witness that we had, and 20 years later, we had, you know, our vow renewal, and we had the wedding we were supposed to have from the beginning, but we waited until our 20th anniversary to have that wedding.
Okay. So
we was rehearsing for Ron Winans' last recording.
I had invited a guy he was playing for.
And we were rehearsing at First Baptist World Changers, and that's how it happened. She was singing in the choir, I was playing bass for it, and that's how everything happened.
And Bernard was playing, and I remember afterwards, you know, giving each artist their money and all of the musicians their money. So I remember this moment. So it was such a defining moment. So I was giving Bernard his money. Now, mind you, I had never met him or anything like that. So I'm like, you know, this is for you. Thank you, you know, for coming to a good job. You play so well. And he's like, no, you keep it, you know. And I'm like, well, this is new. I've never met a musician that turned down any money. So I'm like, no, this is for you here. So we had that little moment, and that was that. But after that moment, we kept running into each other. I mean, literally, like we kept seeing each other. I had never seen him before that moment, never heard of him. And we started calling each other friends, best friends. Mm-hmm. And we had like this love-hate relationship where we would like roast each other, which we like still do all the time. But we used to like roast each other. And yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I was really drawn to his humility. You know, some musicians, they kind of be like all over the place trying to be seen. But he was really laid back, really humble, focused, and I was drawn to that, like almost immediately.
So afterwards, we didn't talk during the rehearsal.
No.
We never talked during the rehearsal, and we were at Greater Grace, and we had got done. with the concert, and I was walking. We had it was a place where everybody was going to eat, and it was a fellowship hall, I guess. And I was walking. I was talking to Pastor Wilton, and yep, he was on this side. We was going to walk. She was walking to the left. She was coming out the sanctuary, getting ready to walk to the left, and I was getting ready to walk to my right, and we happened to meet each other. And she was like, "Hey," I said, "Hey, how you doing?" You know, she's like, "Can we get a picture?" I said, "Girl, yeah, go and get this picture right quick."
But that picture, taking that picture is what kind of sparked.
Yes.
And I feel like I kind of took the lead on that by asking to take the picture with him. So I give myself a little pat on the back for that.
I mean, we both. It was a kind of an alley oop of sorts. I was like, "Oh, okay, all right." So. Yeah, so then we went in, we took the picture, and we kind of I was like, okay, that's I don't like to just, all right, hey, yo, let me get your number. Like, no, just take it, just let it be, just let it flow organically,
I love this. So, how this happened was we started off as best friends. Growing up, I wasn't the best reader and writer, so her mother used to tutor me. And I learned how to read and write, but I never told my mom that. And I, played slow in school so I can go to her house. And I was the brother, friend, protector, So
I literally told all my friends that we were brother and sisters because
Yeah.
I thought that that's what we were, like, in Christ, but they was all confused after we got married. But keep going.
Yeah. So I didn't know if I was gonna be. Well, she used to tell me that she didn't like me, that we was family. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't know if I could ever shoot my shot. So I would just use my wife to coach my girlfriends. And I'm like, I'm trying to get these women to be like you. You know what I'm saying? So let's just go ahead and just be together. So like I get the real thing. So that's how it started. And then I told her one day after like a righteous movement, and she didn't respond. She like didn't say anything like I love you.
I didn't know
like
what to
you.
say.
And she like didn't say anything. She actually went into righteous and started crying. I'm like, I don't know what this means. Like,
I
you
just
like
didn't
me
want to
too?
ruin our friendship, so I was just thinking before I responded.
Yeah. We started off as friends, which is very, very healthy. Because through the different girlfriends and her coaching,
So many girlfriends.
yeah, I had a lot of girlfriends. But she got to see what worked and what didn't. And then that helped us, you know what I'm saying, and when we got together, because she knew what I liked and didn't like, and then I knew how she responded to certain things, and we would talk about different guys. Actually, I went to her prom and homecoming with her as her friend while she had another date. So that's how, like, crazy this is.
First of all, it was a two-meet thing. First time we met, she was with a group of her friends, and I was driving by, saw them, and I took them to the dance they was going to. And then that's when I saw her when she got in the car. But only one I could remember is her. And the second meet, because I couldn't find her after that. I dropped off at home and came back to the same house, but I had her name wrong. I forgot her name. I was saying Carol, and it's Karen. And her mother said she don't know Carol live here. So it was about 6 months later that I saw her again. Well, she saw me. I worked at Latin Quarters in Detroit on the boulevard. That was around 1966. And she saw me and called me. I didn't know who she was because she was standing with the parking lot attendant. And I knew the parking lot attendant, so when I came up to her and the parking lot attendant, he said, "You got to see me." I said, "I got to see you for what?" For I could talk to her. He said, "That's my daughter." I knew her father before I knew her. And from that point on, we've been sticking like glue, peanut butter, peas in the pot, and all that good thing. Been my friend, although we done been through some stuff, but that's how we met, and that's the story.
You want to take that? We have two different stories.
We have the truth, and then we have her story.
Who's gonna say it?
Go ahead, tell your story.
Well, it kind of started. I knew about him before he knew about me because we both run with the same mind group. And I seen him at a concert, and I told my friend that day I want him. But then that day I seen him with somebody else, and I was like, oh, I can't have him. But we end up messaging each other back and forth. No, I seen him at a friend's house.
Tell the truth, you slid in my DM.
I seen him at a friend's house, and from that day we started messaging each other through Facebook. And then I had surgery when he went out of town, and the day he got back, he came to see me, and we haven't been apart since that day, April 24th.
So, so the whole truth, yeah. So I was in my senior year in college, long distance. I graduated from Florida A&M. So I'm in my senior year. I came home. I was visiting during a week. It was a Tuesday night. My pastor from Florida at the time was here in Detroit promoting his book on the Word Network at the Lexi Show. I happened to take him to meet a pastor friend of mine at the time. And Peaches was on the dance ministry at the time. So she happened to be at the church the same night I took my pastor.
Minding my ministerial business.
Sure.
My ministerial business.
She was on the dance team. So we showed up that Tuesday to meet the pastor. I wanted to introduce my pastor from Florida to a friend of mine here. Thought it'd be a great connection. In that connection, I saw her. I laid eyes on her. I inquired about her. There was something there. I knew it. And I knew I wanted to get back in contact with her, find out who she was. At the time, also at my father's church, because I'm a PK, so locally my dad is a pastor. The minister of music at my dad's church happened to also be the choir director at her church. He was like, I got somebody I want you to meet. I said, that's cool, but I got my eyes on somebody. So a couple months went by, come to find out the same young lady that he had in mind for me was the same lady I already had eyes for. I said, make the connection. He made the connection. I asked her about dating initially. Her response was, I did text her. I introduced myself in a text, probably about a 3-part text, very formal, but I asked her about dating. Her response to me at the time was, if it's appropriate for ministry. I said, fine. It's appropriate for ministry. It's appropriate for the ministry of Brandon Johnson, so we're going to do it.
Listen.
I had to get serious with it.
Listen.
It's appropriate for ministry.
At the time, I was not interested in dating. Key point here. I was not interested in dating. I also believe that's what put me in the position to date, because I was not looking for anything. And I knew that I had just gotten out of a situation. I wanted to better prepare myself for me before altering the progress that I had going for myself to cater to a person at that time.
All right, so check. So
We met in 2016.
You gotta keep up with the dates.
Keep up with the dates. Around like November.
Yeah.
2016. Through a friend from church. You know, both of our friends. Shout out to Diamond. You know what I'm saying. And I saw her. She posted her, and I'm like, "Who is that?" You know what I'm saying? Put me on. You feel me? And so Diamond, you know, she was kind of reluctant at first. You know, she didn't want to give up her friend and all of that. But the one thing that she said was crazy. She was like, "And y'all will be perfect for each other." And I'm like, "Well, put a brother on." You know what I'm saying? But so she brung her to, you know, I'm in the frat, you know, Kappa Alpha Psi, you know, shout out to the Noops. So I was having a frat party at the house, and I told Diamond, like, bring her through. So she brung her through, and she was she hated it. Like, did not want to be there.
It was in a stinky house. It was all these people.
You know,
I'm like, what is
she did not
this?
want to be there. Like, she was so mean, and I'm like, I like that though. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, usually girls get around the Noops and they be all wanting to be there and just googly eyed. I'm like, she ain't impressed. I like it. So anyway, that night we went to end up going to Floods. So we got to sit down and have a conversation, but we still didn't really talk because she was mad. Like, she was mean. I'm like, okay.
Because we had already scheduled a date to meet.
Yeah.
And he like tricked my friend to bring me sooner than what the date was. So I was mad that it wasn't on my terms. So
I don't
to
have
meet
no patience, you
that
know.
wasn't
When I
on my
want
terms.
something, I want it, you know.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So anyway, after that date, I didn't pursue her at all. I'm like, something that God told me, like, leave her alone. You're not ready in this season. Don't pursue that. So fast forward to 2018. I went on a fast in January with our church, and it's crazy because I went on a fast and she went on a fast. Most churches go on fast around January, you know, that's kind of a common thing, yeah. So, but it was like this year, it was like God just did something crazy in my life, you know, because I never was one to even like stick with a fast for real when it's corporate. You know, I'm more of a personal fast type of person, but that corporate fast really like changed my perspective of things. So January, February, I'm fasting, and God was removing like people from my life, and at this time, I was in like a real lone state. So in March 1st, you know, I feel like I was released from the fast, and the first thing God told me to do was hit up Sine, and I'm like, what? And no, I'm not hitting her up. Like, so we went out March 3rd to go bowling. And remind you, bowling alley. We were always, I could always get in that bowling alley. I don't care if I went at 10 a.m. or 10 at night. That bowling alley was literally always empty. Like, you know, so on this particular day, it was full to capacity. And I'm like,
I thought you tricked me. I'm like, here
like, what's going on, you know? And then we tried to go to the movies. At this time, Black Panther was out.
Yeah.
Every movie theater was like, no, we're all sold out. But God did that because it made us go sit down at a table and eat dinner and have a conversation. That dinner turned into a 3-hour conversation at our favorite Thai place, Salad Thai. And man, after that, literally, it was every day. Like, wanted to see each other. And 9 months later, from March, 9 months later,
we were married.
That's it.
So when I said only if it's appropriate for ministry, it was because I did not want a relationship. I wanted to only be friends if it was appropriate for ministry, because ministry at that time was not just the ministry of me serving at my church, but it was the ministry of self-development and healing for me. And that was my ministry at the time. So when I said that, it wasn't a sense of rejection to him more so as it was I need this time for me, because I'm no good for him because of where I was in that season.
But you know I was coming though. I was.
But he pressed.
I'm coming.
He pressed in my presence.
And the first year of our relationship, which was the most critical year because it was the building year, it was the getting to know phase, the learning year, as she say, become a student of your partner. So the time that we were becoming students of each other was totally based on talking to each other, communication. Because I was in Florida at the time for an entire year finishing school, and she was here in Detroit. So we had to build our relationship strictly off communication.
Indeed.
And it was necessary for the both of us. And truthfully, I had done a long distance relationship before. So I really didn't want to do one again, but I was willing to do it for her
But it was
because I
perfect
realized
for
it was
me.
necessary for her.
It was perfect for me that he was long distance because it gave me only the option to learn him and give him things intellectually. When the physicality of things were taken out of the equation, there wasn't anything pursued outside of spiritual and intellectual. So what I needed at that time was a long distance relationship, and I didn't even know I needed it. But it was, to me, a key point in our relationship because it was like, if we can get to know each other and be able to build something 1,000 miles away from one another, then when he did come here, it was fireworks from that point forward.
But is my story correct?
Partially.